Jack, welcome back. What are we doing here at Waddesdon Cricket Club this evening? What's the goal in bringing the players here tonight?
So just to have a bit of an overview really in terms of what the expectations are from me and the staff, but also to get an understanding of what we're doing as a football club. As you're aware, there's lots going on behind the scenes at the moment in terms of the commercialisation of the football club and where we're trying to take it, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well. And I think it's really important that we have this togetherness, this ethos that from top to bottom, from players, staff, supporters, board, that we're all driving in the same direction. So tonight's just an idea for players really to come and see what's going on behind the scenes, but also to understand what mine and my staff's expectations are for the season and what it is that we need to do.
We've seen lots of change so far in the squad, and you've alluded to kind of bringing in a certain type of character. Can you explain a bit more about what that actually means?
Yeah, listen, there's been lots of change, and I appreciate from a supporter's point of view, looking at it from the outside in, it's probably terrified a lot of people. But I think sometimes you've got to call a spade. And if you look at what the group as a whole has done, season before last in finishing 14th, and last year, we finished really strongly, but let's not pretend that at times it was really touch and go to whether we kept our step 4 status. And I think anyone that didn't think I was going to come in and do things my way is probably a little bit naive. And Ben done an absolutely fantastic job in the time he's here. I said that in my first interview, and I continue to say that knowing now that the tools that were available to him, he did a brilliant job. But even he got to a point where he left because he didn't think he could get anything else out of the group. So if people thought I was going to come in and just continue with that group of players, then I think that's quite naive. And the reality is probably only 2 players can honestly say they didn't have a fair crack at the whip, and I'll name them: Herbie Townsend and Piers McNamara. I got rid of very early in my tenure. Every other player had more than enough time to buy into what I was trying to achieve, and the reality is some of them just didn't do that. We're in situations now where there's lots of people that want to paint me out as a bad guy, and I've not given people chances, and I've made some bad decisions, and if that's what I need to be for the next 3 months, history is fantastic in football, because we'll find out in 3, 6, 9 months time whether I made the right calls. But what I am going to do is I'm going to do things the way that I want them done. I was 31 when I took this job, and I got this job because of my CV and how hard I've worked in years gone by to get here, and I'm going to do things my way. And like I said, if people want to play the victim, and that's absolutely fine. I've been around long enough to know that happens, but the reality is, and I can put my hand on my heart and say to supporters, the changes that I've genuinely made for the best interest of this football club, to try and get the best out of the group, not just for next season. There's a bigger goal in terms of what we want to achieve, but it has to start now. And again, that's kind of the idea of tonight, to ensure that we're all singing off the same hymn sheet.
And you talked about expectations for the players in the season ahead. Can you summarise for the supporters kind of what those expectations are?
Well, the reality is to bring a side that is really exciting and really aggressive. I felt at times we went places last year with the mindset. I'm going to go back to that thing I talk about with players and mindsets. I used it in an example to the board when we spoke at the end of last season. We played Didcot on a Tuesday night at Tame, and before the game had even kicked off, there were people in my change room talking about when we lost to Didcot 3 years ago, and we never beat Didcot, and they're one of those sides that we never beat, and almost what was the point? And I'm stood there in my change room about to give my team talk before the game, and I'm thinking, what on earth is going on? And that's that thing I keep alluding to about trying to change people's mindsets, that every competitive fixture we have at this level, we need to be competitive. And I felt there were times last season when, for whatever reason, we just weren't competitive. I think I'm very good at getting the best out of people. I challenge people in the right way and try and ensure that we've got a really good mindset. But sometimes I just couldn't get a reaction out of a few, and that's the reason we've changed. So the expectation is to create a group that are thriving, that we've got a good togetherness, that are exciting, that will want to go out and give absolutely everything for this football club. And again, I appreciate supporters might look at it and say, well, this player's been with us for X amount of years, he always gave everything for the badge. Sometimes what you see on the inside to what you see on the outside are different things. And like I said, I think this group of players that we've signed, I think we're about 2 signings away now from having the completed squad. I think we'll really engage with people, and supporters will be able to see that what we're trying to do as a bigger picture.
And new players often means a new approach on the pitch as well. Can you kind of outline what that will be without giving too much away?
I'll give it away. Last 2 games of the season we played a back 3 and I thought we were fantastic. The gaffer at Biggleswade said to me that we took him completely by surprise, and he thought he knew what we were going to do and what we were going to be about, and I took a big risk that day and went out on a whim and said I'm playing a back 3, which was opposed for a long period of time by certain players, which is why I didn't change it earlier. And that's what I like to coach. That's a shape that I believe gives us more outs in terms of what we do in possession of the ball. There's obviously lots more work around that, isn't that simple, but it's just the shape that I like. I like to work with. I think it allows a little bit more aggression in possession. Also helps us when we lose possession to be able to transition a little bit better. So again, yeah, you're gonna see us setting up in a way that you did towards the last 2 games of the season, which gave us a lot of success, which I also think is down to the shape, but more importantly players that believe in that shape and want to really play in a manner that I think is the right way to play.
And we're speaking a day before the pre-season kicks off. What do you want to achieve through the pre-season, and what do you want to see from the fixtures?
Listen, I'm very different. I spoke to someone a few weeks ago when I was looking at friendlies, and he was like, I can't play you, Wellesley. I've got 11. I was thinking 11 pre-season games. We've got 6. And the idea of those 6 games is majority of my work is done on a training pitch, and tonight you'll see in terms of talking about shape and expectations of individuals that take up certain positions. But those 6 games are to give us an idea of when we play through the thirds, what areas we need to look at, where we can gain success. I've never been one really that cares too much about results. Yes, it's great to go in with a bit of momentum, but everyone will be looking at players. We've got 3 or 4, possibly 4 trialists tomorrow to look at. So pre-season is one of those things where for me the majority of focus is on the training pitch, which by the way last 4 or 5 sessions have been really good. The tempo's been really high, the quality's been there. Togetherness of the group already looks really tight. We got 3 on holiday tonight, so Woody's away and Lewis Crosby's away. So I think I'll have 16, 17 here tonight, and that's fantastic commitment considering we train Tuesday. We've got a match tomorrow, so it's all about just bringing everything together now in these games and just seeing where we might be short and what we might need sort of as we get closer to the season begin.
And just as a final thing, where we spoke previously about the season's coming around very quickly. Still looking forward to it? Still ready to go?
I tell you what, it's been the strangest pre-season I've ever seen. I've never seen an off-season like it. I had people messaging me in at the end of May saying, "Oh, Gaffer so-and-so's spoken to me." And I was thinking, I only finished 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I am really excited. It's been a really sort of torrid close season. There's been lots of things that have happened and been said. And again, all I can say to things that have been said, and there's 2 sides to every story, but in terms of signing players and retaining players, all I can do as a grown man is have honest conversations with other grown men and say, this is your expense, this is what I can offer you. Do you want to sign? Yes, no. Everyone that we put on the retention list, every signing that we've done has in my mind signed for this football club. Morally, things change apparently. Maybe I'm a bit too old school, but for me a handshake is enough to get things done. But listen, loads of people have been stung this off season. I saw one yesterday on Twitter of a contracted player in the National League, so it happens. Like I say, there's no bad feeling to me or to anyone. I think you're a long time not playing. I think when you do play, you have to play somewhere that you enjoy it, and I'm really looking forward to the start, because I've got a group that believe in what we're trying to do and that really want to be about pushing this football club to honestly where I think it can go, with all the work that you guys are doing behind the scenes and bringing us back into the community and hopefully soon enough back into Aylesbury.
Thanks very much for your time, Jack.
Thanks, mate.